Hello, my name is Dylan, and welcome to Boost and Ethanol car comparisons. Today we will be comparing the three 90s Skyline models, the R32, the R33, and the R34. Now, Skyline models are infamous for having a powerful all-wheel drive system called the ETISA, with the R33 and R34 having the ETISA ETS, I believe it's called. It is one of the most advanced four-wheel drive systems, especially for its time, with it being able to split the power for up to 50% at the front, or with all of it being rear-wheel drive for the most part. The R33 and R34 were both capable, though, of splitting the power between left and right, giving you even more traction than before. The engine itself, the RB260 DETT, made 276 horsepower, or so we were told. The game itself doesn't rate it at that, but Japanese law stated that each Japanese sports car had to have at maximum 276 horsepower. It wasn't just limited to sports cars, though. Any vehicle had to have it. Of course, not all manufacturers agreed with this, as we can see here, each Skyline having more than that. Well, the R32 did follow it, or so the game says. In earlier games, the R32 actually had 320 horsepower, I believe, along with each other model having 320 horsepower. That seems as a more accurate number, considering not many manufacturers actually followed the laws. I believe Honda was the only one that actually did with their NSX. But here you can see the R34 is by far or technically the best. It's the highest rated class. It also has the most power and torque compared to the other two, but it does weigh the most, and it's also it's not the most front heavy. That goes to the R32. The R33 is just in the middle with everything, in the middle power, in the middle weight, in the middle torque, but it is the most balanced at only 56% of the weight at the front. Not that it's going to make a massive amount of difference, especially when there's a class difference of 19 PI. See, for some reason this game rates the R32 as being better than the R33. For some unknown reason, just the game is like that. I'm not quite sure why, as the R33 wasn't a bad car by any means. It was an incredibly good car, actually, and rather successful. Of course, let's face it isn't a terrible car, so I have no idea why it's been put like that. The only thing I can think of is that it gains a lot more weight, while not gaining that much extra power, compared to the R34. That's the only thing I can think of, and even that seems a bit unlikely. So, we're just going to have to settle this on the track with 4 laps on Long Beach in a time trial to see which one can set the fastest lap. So, here we are with the R32 first on Long Beach. This car set a lap time of 1:43.32, which isn't a bad time. But, this car surprised me, and not in a good way. Sure, the car was fine to drive, it wasn't slow by any means. It was surprisingly oversteery, making it feel more like a rear-wheel drive car than a four-wheel drive car. Sure, it still had plenty of grip, but it was just so easy to oversteer it. Yes, also, I'm not the best driver, so that might affect how the lap times were. This car was okay to drive apart from the oversteer. It just didn't feel safe on the limit. Sometimes you'd just turn in and the car would just start oversteering. So the only way to actually counter that was to give it more throttle to make it understeer. As you can see here, it's just a bit unstable. Also, excuse me for looking up here and there, I'm not an amazing driver by any means. I guess that can also show how easy the cars are to drive. I just don't know why it's so oversteering. the only thing I can think of is perhaps because it is a car designed to be around with traction control and ABS, is that the brakes are very sensitive, which is why it locks up so easily, and also because also the four-wheel drive system's used to being with traction control, so it just sort of makes it oversteer. But then in comparison to the other cars, it just oversteers a lot more. Mind you, if you want a wheel drive drift car, just go with this. It's so good to... It's the most fun car to drive, I guess. Anyway, on to the next car. Okay, so here we are with the R33 on its time trial around Long Beach. This car surprised me in the fact that it was so much nicer to drive than the R32. Like, it had so much grip, excuse me looking up there, but it had so much grip. It was so much easier to drive than the R32. You could have told me it wasn't even related to the R32, and I would have believed you. It was amazing. I guess that could be down to the four-wheel drive system, but as you'll later see, that isn't quite the case with the R34. Yes, this car was amazing to drive, basically. It was so safe and stable. It didn't really understeer. It was really stable, neutral handling, just amazing to drive. Which makes me wonder why it's so low PI in comparison to the other cars. It just doesn't feel it. It just feels so stable. Anyway, the lap time it set was a 1:43.339, which means that it was actually slower than the R32. I guess that's just because this car was so safe. I don't know, maybe I just wasn't pushing it hard enough, or maybe that was just, maybe the gear ratios were less optimized. I'm not sure. There could be a number of reasons. But the only time you'll ever make this car slide when it's standard is due to your own bad driving. It's nothing to do with the car itself. It's so easy to drive, so simple, it's amazing. Which makes me even more disappointed with the R32. So we'll head on to the R34 now. Okay, so here we are with the R34. This car was again surprising, mainly because it handled worse than the R33, which surprised me considering it was such a high PI in comparison to the R33. It was kind of disappointing. It was a lot more oversteery, a lot less stable, a lot less fun to drive, just because of you couldn't guarantee that you'd be stable, you wouldn't oversteer through corners. Sure, you could chuck it about and put into slides more easily, but when you're trying to go fast, you don't exactly want to do that. So yeah, it was kind of strange how this car felt more like a reverse evolution, a devolution, is that a word? If it isn't, it is now. Yeah, it just felt strange how a car like this just was the evolution to the R33 when it handled just so much worse, especially since these cars are all about the handling. That's why they have these amazing all-wheel drive systems. But this is coming from me when my dream car is an R34. I want a bright yellow GTR, an R34 with a gigantic spoiler on the back. Call me a ricer all you want, but that's my dream. And yeah, it just surprised me so much how bad it was in comparison. I have no idea how accurate this is to the way they handle in real life. For I know this could handle perfectly in real life. It probably, like the R32, maybe this is just down to having the traction control off. Maybe just, I don't think the Forza games are accurate enough to actually, you know, with the depicts the all-wheel drive depicts. Is that right? What? No. Shows, sure, works out, calculates the all-wheel drive system and what it does to give you maximum traction. I don't think it's accurate enough to do that, so I don't think turning off the traction control will affect it that much. So I'm seriously just wondering what's wrong with it. Why it just doesn't handle good enough. We may never know. Anyway, we're now going to go into the next way I'm judging this, which involves my own opinions. Okay, now for the best looking car. It's the R34. It just is the best looking. There's something about it, I'm not sure what it is. It still isn't a perfect looking car. I've never liked how all Skyline models have had this front lip you can see by here that doesn't continue onto the side skirt and stuff, so it kind of looks strange, especially on the R32. That's where it looks strangest. Yeah, you can tell these cars are all incredibly similar. They all have similar, yeah, I pronounced that right, design traits, but the R34 just looks the best. I know there's something about it. I'm not sure whether it just looks more expensive, which isn't something that I normally care about, or what. It could be many things to do with it. I think it just looks the best for some reason. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you why I think it looks the best, but it kind of, there's just something about it that I like. Yeah, now we're going to go on to my overall favourite. Which one I like the most in this game. Not necessarily I'd have it in real life, but just the one because we already know I'd have this in real life. I've talked about this earlier. But yeah, which one I prefer the most in the game, and which one I feel would be the most competitive. Okay, so yes, my favourite in the game is the R33. It's so easy to drive, so competitive, and for some reason such a low class. It's just, I don't understand how. I mean, thing is, you could probably get this to the top of C class and still make it be faster than the R34. It's just easily the nicest car to drive. Not doing that, it's the lowest PI, so yeah, it's you could do upgrades and keep it in the lower class, have it be very competitive against the other Skylines. Probably better than them once you upgrade, if you upgraded it to the top of B class, which is why in this game I would say if you're going to go racing with a Skyline, go racing with this one. I've never felt that the Skylines have been particularly good in this game, but maybe using this car will change my opinion of that. Anyway, that's just been my opinion. Tell me yours down in the comments below, and yeah, like and subscribe, and see you next time. Goodbye.